Hey guys, Construction Monk here. Today we are experiencing snow and sleet here in East Tennessee, which is rare. And I got up this morning thinking about the idea of interruption. You know, we have created a very calculated and controlled world. And when Mother Nature, aka God, interrupts, what do? It's like, oh man, everything shuts down. And yesterday I was in the grocery store, and I mean, it was just mobbed, and the gas station was mobbed, and we were just freaked out because we knew snow was coming. And here in East Tennessee, we are not used to snow. So everybody was like freaked out, and oh my gosh, it's gonna snow, what's gonna happen? And like sometimes God throws interruptions into our tightly controlled, over-calculated, over-structured world. And what do? We freak out. Guys, I can tell you, my journey with God has been wrought with interruption after interruption. God breaking in, the kingdom breaking in, wrecking my plans. For what? So that God could enact his plan. Like so often, guys, God interrupts our day, our moment, our schedule, our overstructured world. And what do? We freak out, we flip out, we overreact. Instead of going, okay, God, what are you doing? You're breaking in. You're interrupting my plans so that you can instigate your plans. God interrupts our tightly controlled, over-controlled, hyper-controlled world to bring freedom. Just like my son is interrupting my video. See him? There he is. But that's the way life is, guys. Like, pay attention to the interruptions. Pay attention when your schedule is interrupted, when God breaks through with something you didn't expect. Right? Because we don't often recognize, I think that's the truth, guys. We don't recognize God because we don't have a world or a life that is shaped around God's way and God's world and God's reality. And so we have our own reality and we don't know how to hear God, but yet when God comes in, we reject. We say, no, doesn't God want me to be comfortable? Doesn't God want everything to go right for me? Doesn't God want all green lights for everything I want? And well, what's the problem there, guys? God interrupts our schedule. Why? Because it's our schedule and God has his idea. Right? Isaiah says, as high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my ways above your ways, my thoughts above your thoughts. If you are operating in your way, something you understand, well, that is the problem. That's not God's way. God's way is not our way. And so we really are not that well adapted to God's ways. If we can admit that. But if we can start to see how God might interrupt our plans, our schedules, even our ideas of what God might want to do or who God is. Like often, guys, we're just going along with our idea, even our ideas of who God is and what he wants us to do. God interrupts that, and if we don't recognize it, we're going to reject God moving in our lives. So many times, guys, God yanked me out of my dreams, my desires, my schedule, my ideals, my ideas, and put me on a path, unexpected, because he had something more for me than I had for myself, right? What does Scripture say? Now, to the God who can do immeasurably more than all we ask or could imagine, right? It's like, if you can imagine it, it's too small. If you can imagine it, that's probably not from God. If you can imagine it, if you can ask, God probably has something even more. And if you can't get out of your ask, your ideas, your imagination, then you're going to be stuck in something much, much smaller than what God really has for you. And like, we don't learn to follow God if we're following ourselves and we're seeing God as always an interruption, right? And so today, my challenge to you is pay attention to the interruptions. Pay attention to the waking nighttime fears, because sometimes those fears are revealing your control and God is trying to push you to let go. Surrender is the key. I like to say this. The secret sauce of salvation is surrender. I'll put the meme up because I have a meme for that. The secret sauce of salvation is surrender. When you start to surrender your control, when you start to allow for the interruptions of God, that's when you start to learn how to sense God, hear God, follow God. As long as you're wanting God to do what you want and go along with your plans and do what you think is good, you're not following God. Today we have a church that really, and Christians that often don't know how to follow God, but they won't stop trying to follow themselves, right? Well, allow for the interruptions. Embrace the interruptions. That's how we start to lean towards God and away from our own control. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. This has been a Construction Monk podcast. I'm your host, Jay Randall Stewart, and now I'm going to go play in the snow with my kids.